The last couple of years I've done a review of my favourite books of the year at the start of the new one. So this is exactly what I'm doing. Obviously it's 2018 now, and I'm going to share with you some of my favourite books of 2017. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should all be doing, link is in the description, no pressure, you would have already seen my favourite books of 2017, and you would have also seen my partner Ben's. So if you want to check that out, again, just look on the Instagram. Now I'm going to briefly talk you through them and just share these gems with you. Like so many other students, my 2017 was just dominated by my masters. So my reading year hasn't been as great, but the ones that I have read and loved I've really treasured. The first two favourites are actually ones I associate with my masters, and in particular my dissertation. They are North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell and Shirley by Charlotte Bronte. North and South is an absolutely beautiful book. It is one of my favourites. I did my dissertation on it along with Alton Locke by Charles Kingsley and Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. It's a story of Margaret Hale who moves from the south to the north, from a very different environment in the country to a northern mill town called Milton. There she meets two very different types of heroes and some anti-heroes, with John Thornton being the mill owner and Nicholas Higgins being the working class trade unionist. It's kind of like Pride and Prejudice but with socialism. It's one of those novels that I will just always love and treasure, and it's definitely one of my all-time favourite books, so not just this year. The second, Shirley by Charlotte Bronte, I feel like I haven't really heard that many people talk about. Everybody knows Jane Eyre, everybody knows the plot of Jane Eyre, but Shirley has just kind of been hidden, and actually I think it's one of the best Bronte novels I've read. It's a very dramatic story, and you have Shirley, this woman, as an owner. She's in the middle of the Luddite rebellion, and she's a real driving force of this novel. Charlotte Bronte is known for women like that. She's known for these amazing female characters. I won't talk too much about the plot of any of these novels, but Shirley in particular I want you to kind of discover for yourself, because as I said, you know the plot of Jane Eyre, but you don't with Shirley, or you probably don't. And with classic novels, after so many adaptations, it's actually quite delightful to find a book that you don't know how it ends. In the midst of all the dissertation stress and the continual reading about the 1840s, Chartism and everything in poverty in London and up north, I needed a break. Seriously, with my dissertation, I needed a break. And I found sanctuary in this beautiful novel. This is The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock by Imogen Hermes Gower, and this is a proof copy, and the book actually comes out at the end of January, and it is definitely one to look out for. It's set in Georgian London, and quite a lot of it is in South London. What was so delightful for me reading this was actually that so many of my own academic interests really came into play with this novel, from the representation of clothing and material culture to coffee houses and kind of the freak show. It's a fantastic exploration of women with these amazing feminist characters, and race and inequality in business, and also this amazing fantastical element of the mermaid. One thing that really struck me in this novel though was the theme of grief. It is probably one of the most beautiful and intimate portrayals of grief I've actually read. There are just so many intricate threads running through this novel that all pull together beautifully, and it comes together just to create this really narratively rich historical fiction. If you are fans of the Essex Serpent, which, spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about next, if you're fans of The Crimson Petal and the White by Michelle Faber, you will probably love this book. I've got a video planned about this book all on its own, so I'll stop talking about it, but definitely pre-order it or just keep an eye out for it later on in January. I already mentioned The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry, and this is historical fiction done right. So right. The novel begins with the character of Cora, the amazing character. She's a widow, and the past with her husband is really uncomfortable to read. It's about her finding herself, which sounds really cheesy, but it's kind of almost a search for liberation through natural history and understanding of philosophy and scientific movement of the time. A novel about friendship and love that comments on the politics of the time of the 1890s. I know that Sarah Perry has a new novel coming out this year, and I could not be more excited. There is a reason that so many booksellers got behind this book. It's just because it's amazing, so go and read it. I just mentioned booksellers, and if you don't already know, I'm currently a bookseller, which is something I'm really enjoying. And Mary Beard's Women in Power is one of my favourites of 2017, but it's also something for me that is intricately linked with the fact that I'm a bookseller, because at work it's the book that I'm currently talking about and hand selling. It's been really exciting to actually have a book that I can really get excited about with customers and basically make them buy. I have made a woman who said she doesn't believe in feminism buy this book. This manifesto contains 2 essays. One of them is about women actually having a public voice and how that was always coded as male. And the brilliant quote on the back is so key, because she says, "You can't easily fit women into a structure that is already coded as male. You have to change the structure." So women taking a voice is always kind of seen as being like really, well, she's too bossy, or she's too loud, or she's kind of too picky, or anything like this. Whenever women speak, they're always kind of dragged down, and that's because public speaking, or just speaking in general, is male. Being powerfully dissects that, but it makes me really aware that actually as a society we haven't moved on enough. The next book I got only a couple of days before the new year, so this really shouldn't count. This really should be a 2018 read, but I'm currently obsessing over it. It's so big, look at it. I love it. The maps are by the London County Council, so it's the map of the Blitz really and the damage. What you probably don't know about me is that as a little girl I was obsessed with the Blitz. I wanted to have my own Anderson shelter in the back garden, I wanted to tape up my windows. And living in London, one of the things I find most interesting is looking at how the landscape has changed because of the Blitz. I did mention this in a video I did called Reading London, so if you want to know more about that, you can go and watch that video. It's maps of London, obviously, and it's got a key, and they've coded down where damage happened and if it was a V1 or a V2. It is expensive, but if you have a massive history geek in your life, this has brought me so much joy, which sounds really bad because it's maps of kind of destruction and loss of life. But if you are interested, check this out. Or I'm sure libraries, especially in London, will probably have a copy. So if you're kind of intrigued, go and have a look. The last 2 I'm only going to briefly mention because I've actually made videos on them. And it's The Sense of an Ending by Julian Barnes and The Tidal Zone by Sarah Moss. The Sense of an Ending is a book that just gave me a complete book hangover. I was completely haunted by this novel. Julian Barnes actually has a new novel coming out this year, and again, really excited. This is actually my first Julian Barnes novel. I really want to read Arthur and George. His writing just blew me away, and it was so economical and stripped back that I was just completely in love with it. The Tidal Zone kind of links into my obsession with the Blitz because on the surface, and not on the surface, that sounds bad, but it's a story about Adam, who's a father, whose daughter Miriam just stops breathing, and it's about how one moment kind of changes your life and dealing with the aftermath. But what I kind of found really fascinating narratively with this novel is that Adam, the character of Adam, is an academic. I should also say it's kind of a portrayal of the NHS and kind of privatisation, also the impact that has on academia. But anyway, Adam's interest in academia is the Coventry Cathedral. Adam is researching the bombing and how kind of just with that bomb, life changed for the people of Coventry. And then he follows through with the rebuilding of the cathedral, and it perfectly mirrors how Adam's family are trying to rebuild their lives after the event with Miriam. How do you recover from something like that? It was just incredible, and something that I think all these kind of books have in common actually are some amazing female characters. And that's it. I'm done. I didn't read that much in 2017, so I normally have a slightly longer list of favourites, but what books I did read were really, really good. I hope you had a lovely 2017 and have an even better 2018. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking around for yet another year of inconsistent videos.